Hi guys, welcome back. This is tape 2 of the Ultimate Street Fighting Systems Combat Jiu Jitsu series. What we're going to be working on today is strictly upper body locks, arm locks, shoulder locks, wrist locks, you name it. And as usual, we're doing it from the ground. I'm Walt Bayless, and again with me is my partner and assistant Darren Lopez. And we're going to show you ways to finish the fight. Up till now, you've learned how to reach your opponent safely, get inside, take him down to the ground where he's going to be in a position his kicks and punches are not going to be effective, okay? From this position now, we want to finish the fight instead of just perpetuating, instead of trading punches. We're going to start from what we call the mount position. Okay, inside here, the mount position is simple. We're going to go over this real briefly so you guys know what to do. From this position here, I've got the decided advantage. For one thing, I'm in a position where he can't punch me, but I can punch him. And the whole idea behind this position is to maintain control. So what's not natural for you to do is to stay relaxed. Once you've achieved this, you want to stay low and limp. There's no point being tense. If I'm tense, I'm easily liftable. Darren can push me right back up. If I relax, I want you to think of yourself like a waterbed mattress that's about half full. So as he does push, I just kind of ease my way through and let him work his butt off. That's the whole idea. I keep one hand behind the head, so it's difficult for him to bench press me. Now this kind of crazy activity is what we call the 2-minute Hercules. He's going to be a real scary guy for about 120 seconds, and then you start putting the nails in the coffin. The first thing I'm going to show you here, just to get it out of the way, I have been in this stuff for 23 years, and I've not seen a whole lot of wrist locks that are really effective. There are a couple of them. Working from the ground allows everything to be nailed in more tightly and securely. A wrist lock is too easy for him to change position and things like that. Like I said before, when you're standing up, trying to apply a wrist lock means you're going to get hit with the other hand. This wrist lock's simple. I'm not going to reach the arm that's near to me, I'm going to reach across. Here, cross arm, and get the top of his hand like this. Okay, a lot of times he'll be covering up anyway because he's waiting for the big punch series to come in. So as he's covering up here, I'm taking the top wrist. Now, my other hand is going to slide in underneath here. Now, I like to lean in and come up on the opposite foot here. Here, reach underneath. Stack my hands this way. Now, there's no way, especially on the mighty Darren Lopez, that I'm going to be able to bend this wrist with my bare hands, right? It's too powerful. So I'm going to take it and stack them, use both power. This is going to serve as a fulcrum as well as the assister in the power move. Up it goes. Now, while applying the pressure far down the hand, right at the knuckles and lifting up into my chest, I've got a simple tap right there. Okay, you've got 2 ways to make the guy tap here. Stack him like this. Also, somewhat less neighborly, but equally effective. When I slap up inside here, I can lift it up here. You can move the hand outside and let the ground assist you. Lift and turn and far away here. Boom, landing in a wrist lock. The further out I go, the more dangerous the wrist lock is. Okay, but equally fun. That's a simple wrist lock inside there. So once again, stack across the way, move the outside. It's the easy wrist lock. Okay, now the next thing we're going to work on is a shoulder lock. Okay, it's a basic, simple shoulder lock. Again, we're going to respond to his reaction, and that will be to cover up inside here. If it's not, he's crazy, all right? So we're going to assume he's going to cover up. Now, what I like to do here is to slide him right in position, since he's probably not naturally going to sit there and lay with his arms flat on the floor, okay, unless he's asleep, in which case we should be on top of him. If he's going to cover up like this, all right, as a result of punches, we're going to take both hands and come at one angle to one arm or the other, just like this, all right? Now, I'm going to take that arm, and I'm going to turn him up to his side. And again, whenever my guy rolls to his side, okay, I'm going to come up on one foot, all right? So as I drive him down here, I'm going to come up to the side here like this, right at an angle. I've dropped that down. An important thing here to remember is that I need to take this elbow here that I'm pushing with on his wrist and get it to the floor. If it's up top like this, he can take his other hand and push. Give me a lot of trouble, and I have to start back up all over again. So, as I'm covered up inside here, he's covered any position here like this, take that down to the floor, and keep my elbow by his head here. Staying very low and relaxed. I want my thumb to be on top of the wrist. Okay, with it underneath, he can move his arm around a little more. With it on top, I get a better support. My whole hand is working together. This other hand's going to slide around underneath, stacking on top of my other wrist here. Now I've got 2-on-1. Remember that. That's what you need to do to outmuscle a stronger opponent. You need to go 2-on-1 with a weaker limb. Now, I'm going to take his arm and kind of move his elbow down toward his waist. Move his elbow toward his waist. And this is going to help me with my leverage. Bring it down low and lift. Easy tap. You notice that when his arm's up high and lift up here, he's got a lot more room. He's got a lot more room to move. It takes a longer time to make him tap. Okay, and this can frustrate you when you first start doing the shoulder lock. So stack your hands before you even start prying up at all. Move it down low. Now, you'll barely even have to lift up, if at all, to get the shoulder lock to work. And that's the way that's going to work. Now, using these first two attacks here like this, I'm going to work into probably the most common move you're going to see in Jiu Jitsu for the upper body locks. That's the basic arm lock. Inside here, a very common thing for your opponent to do while you're training here, especially from the mount, is turn to one side or the other because he's trying to find a way out. The super unexperienced guy's going to be bucking and kicking and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Afterwards, one of these moves are going to make him turn to the side. The first two moves we did, for example, will make him turn to his side. Let's take the first one. I'll show you how it works in. A cross wrist grab inside here like this. As I fold up, it's going to force him up on one side. Now, if his hands are locked together, for instance, or he's too strong and I can't finish my wrist lock, I can use my arm lock. Okay, inside here. I've already achieved this position. Remember, the reason why I'm coming up on one foot every time he turns to one side or the other, if he turns this way, here, that foot comes up. If he turns the other way, he comes back down. I'm up on this side again. Because I don't want to get one side or the other trapped by his roll. If I maintain the mount position and the guy begins to roll now, I can trap my foot sometimes and have other things to deal with. So as I'm down here and he turns to roll, I turn up on one side here. I'm still tight, and I'm still in control, and I still have good balance. Again, I've stacked and started to work in the wrist lock. He's locked his hands together, so it's a natural place for me to start putting my arm lock on, right here. Okay? I'm just lean up here, resting all my body weight on him and my foot. Over comes the other one. Easy arm lock here. Back up again. The shoulder lock. As I push this down, he'll turn to his side. Because the only way out of the shoulder lock is to keep his hands together. He'll lock them together. I'm going to pull those things in desperately. As he does, lock his hands together, he'll turn to his side, opening up my arm lock again. Underneath here, brace to my own shoulder. Back in, lift, there you go. The way you've probably seen to practice this move is off a push. As the guy pushes you up here, you're going to put your hands around one arm or the other, depending on which one you're going to lock, and hop up into a squat. And then turn around and make the corner. The problem is, that's never going to happen. What we wanted to show you is a way these arm locks can be put on against somebody who is resisting you. Now, the first way that I showed you is one of the most realistic ways. He's going to be turning, and he'll give it to you. As we're wrestling around, he turns off to the side and go like this. He'll have an arm up, ready to be arm locked. All I have to do is hook, post. This is my other foot now. This one down, and I prefer it down on the other wrist, which he's probably going to lock hands with. See, trying to keep him from opening his hands up. Boom. Easy arm lock there. Nextly, I can force him in this position. One of the ways I can keep the guy in that position is what we call an arm wrap series. This is an outstanding place to be. As I drive this arm down, which is usually the way I get the guy to turn, I drop down here, turn him up to the side. I'll reach behind his head and grab the top arm. Here. That'll hold him up. Again, you're going to be dealing with people's natural reaction to roll to their stomach. But trust me, guys, it's a day off. If they roll to the stomach, they're exposing everything. It'd be a lot like a boxer turning his back and covering up in a boxing match. Doesn't make any sense. So, we're going to assume our guy has some idea what's going on. If he turns to his stomach, you're going to choke him, you'll see that. And tape forward, it'll be easy. Now, as I wrap him up here, okay, I'm going to reinforce this by, again, bringing my other hand underneath and grabbing my own wrist. This looks crazy. This is a T-wrap, see? 1, 2. Hold it in tight. Now, as I hold it in tight here, I'm going to take all my weight on my hands and lean it on his. The arm that's behind his neck is going to just ease around the back of his head, but I do not release my hands. Around it goes. Keep it on. Arm lock. One more time. Starting from down here. You drive up. Reach around behind. Grab my own wrist. Post. Arm lock. Also, while turning him to the side here, I can grab the other wrist. This is what we call a tight shoulder lock. It's a little more difficult to get because the guy is not going to have his elbow down low to his oblique on the first shoulder lock like I told you about. So you have to position yourself a little differently. Watch. So I shove this hand down here. A lot of times I'll do this when I'm really, really low, inside here, and catch it this way. From this position I can still achieve a shoulder lock. However, it's going to take some different manipulation. Underneath I come, stack my wrist the same way. Now obviously just the basic lift is not going to do it. So I need to turn his wrist out and think about bringing his wrist straight down underneath his elbow along the side of his body. And then I get the lock. You have to practice this with your partner a few times. Experience the way the two different shoulder locks feel. At that point, you'll be able to judge whether or not you can get the lock from that position by feeling where the resistance is. When his shoulders feel tight, I know that I'm near the lock. Inside here, easy movement. As I bring it down low, it's a lot simpler. Another little trick here like this that I like to do is take his rear foot, hook it, bring it outside here. This really keeps him up on his side, keeps him in a better mood. Now, that's it for the mount. What we're going to do now is work for some cross-body moves. Okay, this is the cross-body position because I'm cross-body. The way I want to place my hands when I'm keeping control of my opponent is I want the hand nearest his legs back and down by his hips, blocking him out from a position he's going to be trying to achieve called the guard, which we'll talk about in a minute. Back it goes. My second hand is over the top, trying to keep his upper body in place and gauging where this arm goes. Inside here. It's a nice, easy, basic pin. It's not designed to keep his shoulders flat, but it's designed to keep in contact with as much of his body as I need to keep in contact with in order to start setting up another lock. The first lock we're going to work on from here is just another basic arm lock from the crossbody position by working around turning the corner here. One of the things you're going to find is it's going to be difficult to dig underneath those elbows. An easy way to keep from having to just wedging your way underneath his elbows is to trap a wrist. Inside here, if I trap a wrist down here on his body, as I come underneath and turn the corner, I can stack my hands this way. Okay? Same side, other side with his wrist down here. If I trap a wrist down here, for any reason I catch it down there, sometimes this can be secondary, but it's extremely important. If I'm digging up underneath here, sometimes his hand will be up around my head. So I dig the corner like this, I'll turn. There's the wrist, I can trap it. Now I establish the same figure four technique that I did before. Once I'm here, I want to hop up into a squat on either side of his head. Like this. Here. I'm going to lift, pinch my knees together, then turn and sit. Boom, back into the arm lock again, right there. Again, from cross body, inside here, I can hook. Another good way to do this, guys, if you find his arm underneath you here, go ahead and stick it underneath his arm, here, this way. Weave it underneath. Come around, here. Drive forward, that wrist will pop right off. Catch it with the other one. Back into the arm lock again. One more time. I'm going to show it to you from the other side. You're going to see my back, but I want you to see how I'm moving, okay? Inside here. We're knee. Inside here. Arm lock. From that same position, there's a totally separate lock. A shoulder lock, but from a different way. If I'm working inside here, and I know he's expecting my arm lock, or he's very powerful and could possibly sit up on me when I'm in the middle of it, okay? Is I can simply do this. I hop up into a squat, either side the same way, same entry. Here. The bottom arm may lock with this top. I know I've got to pry these apart when I hit the arm lock, which isn't a real huge problem. Sometimes, like I said, the guy's too big. I've got other options. Stack him here. The knee that's in front of his body will drop down and pin that arm inside here. Lift. Turn your face there. Sound effects are a bonus. Tape 6. Again, as I'm weaving underneath, finding the arm, driving forward. There it is. There's the wrist. I catch it. Hop up in the squat, drop the near knee, lift, put it up behind his back here. I'm twisting and pulling it up high. Simple shoulder lock, one last time. Cross body here. Weave underneath this arm. Come around in front, fold it up. Nice and easy. Next, from cross body, one of the things you want to do is called a knee up position. It's a threatened mount. From cross body here, you have an unlimited number of options. I wish I could go through every single one of them with you. I'm going to go through the ones that you're going to need to train first. It'll be the most easily available to you, and by no surprise really, that most of the black belts will be using. You'll find in real combat situations, black belts won't use fancy, incredible moves. They'll use the basics. They'll just use them well. They're the most powerful moves in Jiu Jitsu. Inside here, a great way to get your opponent to react to you is to use the knee up method. I'm going to show you right now. I'm starting cross body here, but I'm going to threaten the mount position, because in a real fight, it's a lot more damaging, okay? It's a lot more threatening to him. So as I hop up, boom, I've got a knee up here. From this position here, one of the first things he's going to try to do is keep you from mounting all the way where you started from before. The mount they know is a bad position. They want to keep you out of it as best they possibly can. What they'll do is they'll usually block with this far hand on the knee. Now that may seem like a bit of trouble for you in the beginning, but in reality, it creates an opening. And I'm going to show you how to take advantage of that. As soon as he blocks my knee, he's going to create an opening. Let's start from the beginning again, from cross body here. I've got this arm blocking his hip, and as soon as I move this arm out of the way, I want to replace that block with my knee in the knee up position here. Boom, inside. I'm driving back up, there it is. Working my knee, trying to keep me back. The first lock I want to work on is to reach in between here, right in that hole. And reach across and grab the back of his elbow, just like this. What I like to do is take my second hand here, and I just like to post down on the chin or the jaw and pull up inside. Here. I roll this all the way through here. I bring my shin down across his face, and I've got a simple arm lock right there. Once again, starting from cross body, inside, as I drive the knee up, putting the shin across the face, I sink this elbow all the way through until it comes all the way up to the shoulder. All the way through here. I can lock my hands this way, have a straight arm lock here, an easy, easy lock. One last time, just to go over a few of the details. The knee comes up to replace the arm that was blocking his hips back before. He'll block it right away. This bottom hand, keeping on his arm. Top hand here. Underneath. Lock those hands together. Arm lock there. Okay, nextly, we're going to get some space here. I'm going to show you another simple lock that's in the same family as that one. Here, I'll turn you this way a bit. Start from cross body, up comes the knee, blocks here. Now, I'm going to pull this inside and step around and do the arm lock this way. As I pull this in, post down the head, my far leg will step around to his upper middle back. And I'm going to come in a seated position. Here, arm lock, the same way. Once again, I don't want to try to just move him or just move myself. I want to move us both. It'll increase the speed of the move. But for slow motion, so you can see how it works. Up, knee blocks, hook with the near arm, post the head, step, squat, and sit. Inside there, arm lock. Again, full speed. Up. Inside. Arm lock. Oh, what a blast.
I'm having fun.
Inside here now. Another simple position. By the way, from that knee up position, it's plainly clear. I think you guys have probably already seen it. As I come up, I've got the near side arm lock just waiting to be had. Inside here. If this hand comes up and is in the way at all, it's already right there. Doesn't take much to figure that one out, but I do think you should practice it. Okay, the next position is called the sit-out. It's still done from cross-body. You're still technically cross-body with the guy, but instead of having your rear arm block his hip or your knee like we did in the first two positions, we're going to have our own hip do it. So we're going to slide the back arm out, put it underneath this forearm, and sit underneath his top arm here. When I'm finished with my sit-out, I should be well underneath this arm here, and have my hand definitely underneath this arm here. Otherwise, it's a totally separate deal. It's a headlock. We'll go over that in a second. If you feel his arm dropping down low, here, getting underneath your hip, one of my favorite ways to get that back in place is to reach behind the head, lock the hands, lift, and slide my knee back underneath the arm. You can keep doing that as many times as it takes. But there are a couple of simple moves from here. Sitting out like this is actually fantastic. It'll help you. The first move we're going to work on here, as his hands, we're going to start with an opponent that's basically got his hands up inside here. As you begin training these moves with each other, you're going to be flailing and doing a bunch of different things. You're going to have to deal with the guys moving around, but this is a good basic place to start. He's covered up, his arms are in tight like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack the one that is nearest to me right now. This one here. It's quite a simple move. As I'm sitting out, I'm going to split his arms, okay, with my rear arm. The one outside here stays tight. My rear arm's going to come underneath, split between the arms here, and I'm going to go all the way until my elbow passes his forearm. I'm going to hook it, just like this. My hands is going to go outside my knee, onto my hip this way, here. So as he's inside tight, I'm going to split inside here and fold it up deep, okay? And one of the things that helps me here is I turn up and I scoot my hips up as deep in the armpit as I possibly can. I make sure I'm extremely, extremely tight here, like this, lovingly tight. As I'm inside, I reach my arm, keep on the side of my hip. I want to make sure I have it locked in tight, and I'll use my other hand, my same hand here, almost like a shoehorn. I'll come in and block his head. I'm going to step over the top here. A lot of times I'll even grab my own toe with the other hand here, making it extremely tight. Now, I'm locked in position. This is crazy looking, but you'll be surprised how well it works. As I pull my arm back here, I'm going to use my upper body. As I lean back, I'm going to push forward with my hips. Here. Simple arm lock. Boom. Again. Arms up tight. Split the arms through the elbow. Get my hips in tight. Step over past the head. Catch the toe. Up I come. Easy arm lock right there. Excellent. Seriously. It's a never-ending joy. Now, secondly, from the sit-out position, one of the things that you can always look for and count on is somebody usually trying to hang on to your head this way. From that position, we have our next move, because putting your head in that position can be difficult. But a lot of times you'll find someone from the beginning in your crossbody hooking your head here, trying to squeeze you, maybe even after a takedown. It's natural for people that don't understand how to grapple to hang on to whatever they can get, just to try to freeze the situation, keep it from going on any further. So as he's grabbing here, I want to just move into my sit-out position here. An outstanding place to be. Now, I want to keep my head pinched against his forearm because we've already decided that this arm is exactly where we want it to be. It's fantastic. So, I want to keep it there. Hold my head down, shrug my shoulder up a bit, even bring this arm up. So if he wants to pull it back out and around, he can't. I've decided I want to keep it there. Yeah, it's going to take a little intensity, but you have to hold on tight. Again, this outside leg is going to step over. Come inside here, push, step over, it does. Now, I want to lengthen my body out along his arm until I can feel his wrist against my neck. Then I know I've got maximum leverage. At this point, I'll take the inside of the radius bone of my arm on the bottom, put it just below his elbow, lock the hands, and pull inside there for a simple arm lock. Okay, from the crossbody position, hooking the head here, quick sit out, post, stretch him out, lock, and a simple arm lock there. A very, very easy move. Now, let's move on again here. Another sit out position that we have, it's very common. It would be important you learn in Tape 5 how to get out of a lot of these things. So it's important to know what you can do when you're in them. That way you'll know what to defend against as well. What we're going to do is work on another sit-up position. This is the headlock here. The difference between the headlock and just the regular Jiu Jitsu sit-out is that you're missing the far arm. Inside here, you're ending up like this. Here. A headlock is actually not a bad position. I prefer the sit-out because I've got more control. Here with the headlock, we've got a couple of good locks available here. First of all, with a man have the hands wrapped around your body, go ahead and lock them around tight, inside here. One of the first things a lot of guys will do, again, like we said, when people don't know what's going on and they're terrified, they'll grab, squeeze, do whatever they can. What I want to do is take my outside arm here, free arm. Again, I'm sitting out, staying tight, and hook underneath that elbow here. Underneath that elbow. As I do, I'm going to lock my hands. Lock my hands tight. I'm going to squeeze his elbow in and lift it up to his head. Inside here, like this. Right there. A simple, simple move right there. Again, dig underneath, lock, squeeze there. It's a piece of cake. What this will do is either make the guy tap, but if he's sharp, he'll feel the pressure and straighten his arm out. Inside here. Good. But he can't straighten his arm out and keep his hands locked at the same time. That's the whole idea. We're trying to cause trouble there, see? Oh, hey, there it goes. His arm straightened out. Slide down, grab his wrist here. Now, we've got a free arm. This is when this position gets good. I'm going to sit back here. Guide his elbow down my leg. You see, on the upper part of the thigh, it's a lot meatier. You know, a lot, hopefully, huh? If I've had lunch. See, it's a lot meatier down here. You're not going to get quite the resistance that you want. You want to move it down lower toward the knee. It's a little bonier down there. Whole leg's that way, isn't it? Okay, as I slide it down here like this, what I like to do is either drop my knee down here to help my wrist, because I don't want to use all my, just my one hand against his arm. Remember, we want to make it unfair. As best I possibly can. So use my knee to help out. At the same time, I'm going to drop my chest down on his shoulder here. Inside. Easy arm lock right inside there. Boom. So again, starting back from the headlock, I put on here, he straightens his arm out. If he locks his hands, go ahead. At all. If he has his hands locked, straighten his arms out as much as you can with his hands locked. Go ahead. Straighten your arms out with your hands locked. He's still going to have, he'll have to have some kind of bend in the shoulder enough to get a problem there. He'll straighten it out. Slide it back, grab that wrist. Slide it down low in the leg. Okay? Your leg should be just superior to where his elbow is. Just superior. Not right on the elbow, just a hair above it. Inside here. You'll feel where it is. You'll feel that bone of the elbow. Now, use my knee for aid, and down we go. Simple arm lock right there. Okay, and sometimes he'll flex this arm here, this way. One of the things you can do instead of trying to wrestle with him, trying to get it back straight again, is just to roll it over. Okay? Don't resist his strength there. As he pulls his arm in inside there, if he just keeps pulling all the way inside, he's not going to be safe anyway. You can stick your arm all the way back through, start all over again, work the shoulder, get the wrist back, straighten it back out. And once it's straightened out to a certain level, it's going to be hard for him to resist anyway. But you feel him start to bend it up this way. So what we're going to do, instead of pushing it straight down, we're going to do that, but we're going to roll it over to the side, just a hair, okay? So as I put his arm out here, he starts to resist, roll it over. I'm going to hook my leg over it here, okay? You guys already see how fun this can be, all right? Now, I'm going to hook that deep, okay? Don't hook it down low. You don't want it down low on your leg like this where you don't have the power that you need, okay? As I roll it over, I'm going to hook it deep here. There won't be any need to figure for it, okay? You want to keep this other leg back to keep your balance. This is important, okay? Hook it up deep. This will keep his arm in place. As I hook it here, I generally like to lock my hands, pull up on the head, and lift my hips. And I've got a simple shoulder lock. It's outstanding. You'll find this is good even if he's got his arm rolled all the way over this way. Rolling it along your leg like this will turn his arm the way you want it to go, okay? So I roll it back out like this. Over it goes. Lock my hands here, and slowly lift my hips. A simple shoulder lock right there. So those are a few good things. Once again, once his arm is wrapped, I've got the pain here. He can straighten his arm out. Take it out along the thigh, deep, drop the chest. Straight arm lock, tries to curl. Pull it back out. Lock the hands, and lift. There we go. Okay, guys, this position is called the guard. I'm on the bottom, and it's the exact same thing as the mount, only upside down. This position here is the best possible place you can be if you have to be on the bottom, okay? Now, I want you guys to practice working these moves that I'm going to show you here, but I want to say something quickly about the guard. Number one, you shouldn't sit there and make it a slumber party. This is a position that is the safest place you can be when you're on the bottom, but it is definitely still dangerous. So it's good to really drill your finishes and your reversals hard, which will also be on tape 5, and really spend a lot of time working out of this position into a better one or getting a lot quickly. Let me show you some of the options that you're going to have at the beginning. These are a few of the basics here that are not only like I said, some of the things you need to learn first before you can learn some of the other moves, but they're the ones when you end up being an expert are probably going to be relying on most of all anyway. Okay, this first move is a basic shoulder lock that you can get from the guard. One of the things somebody might do when they're in your guard like this is put their hand down back here or put it on one of your knees, trying to pry your legs apart here. So what I want to do is I want to start with the guy's hand on your knee like this, as if he's going to push you down to escape here. Okay, his hand's on the knee. Now, as he does this, I want to take the same side arm here and grab his wrist, just like this. My other hand is to come out from around behind his head, going over the top and back through the hole again to meet my own wrist. Inside here. Once I've got them both together, I do want to make sure my feet stay on top of his back because I've got to control his hips. If I don't, his hips can come out as I put the lock on here. So I keep the feet up inside here, lift, and bring it up behind his back here until I get a tap. Okay, once again, from the guard, he'll put his hand on my knee, trap, same side, come over the top, grab my own wrist, back to the hole, until I get a tap. A little word on this thing that might make it a lot easier for you. It's important for you to remember, as he puts my hand there, sometimes when he feels this go on, he'll straighten his arm out. Okay? The strong guy will do this, trying to avoid the shoulder lock that's just pretty much imminent here. The way to get this arm bent again is to raise it high. He seems to have a lot of power here. But as I bring it up, it just gets weak. And drive it up. What I want to do is I want to get as good of a bend as I possibly can on this arm and take it in a rainbow arc to the back of his head. So as soon as it comes on, sit up into it, wrap up, take it behind his back, and a nice high arc. Right there. Yeah. The first 3 taps never count. I'm kidding. Don't tell me that one. All right. Now, nextly, like I said, even if it's on the ground here, I can still reach up. You can practice your sit-ups this way. It's an excellent way to get some exercise. Wrap your legs up, have the guy sit up, and put his hands on one knee, sit up and come back like this, have him sit up again, put his hands on the other knee, like this, sit up, come back again. It's a great way. Have him turn on the ground, sit up, bring it back inside there. Okay, so just practice that move back and forth. It's a real common one. It's a mistake a lot of people do make. Next, the second place he might place his hand is on the floor, but not down low, up higher. Anytime somebody's arm hits the floor like this, one of my favorite things to do is either come underneath it or over the top of it. Over the top's where we're going to start. I wrap my arm around and hold it in tight inside here. A good way to wrap. Again, a nice way to hold a guy. You can keep him here for a long time, but we don't want to camp out here. I mean, it's still kind of hairy, right? He can still get up and start throwing punches and headbutt us, and I think we all understand that. So what I'm going to try to do here is take this hand that's wrapped around, hold it in tight, take my other hand here, push it on the side of his head, and climb my feet into his hips inside here. Now, after I push my hand off the head, I'm going to take it on the shoulder here and roll it out. Roll it out. The hand underneath is going to come up and meet my wrist here. Like this, my knees pinch, my hips lift, and there's my arm lock right there. Again, from the guard, his hand hits the ground. I wrap it up right away, inside here. I'm going to push out, get my feet in his hips, and lift them right away. I'm going to pinch them tight, keep him in trouble here. Now, the reason why I'm rolling his shoulder out is so his arm doesn't roll inside, foiling our arm lock. Don't worry, we've got to move for that too. We'll do that in a minute. Okay, but I roll him up inside here. Roll that shoulder out, pinch with these knees, and lift my hips, like that. It's a piece of cake. Okay. Now, as you train this move, you're going to notice that a lot of people will roll their arms to the outside. A couple of things that will prevent that. As your arm comes around here, it's not, maybe instead of just grabbing it loosely, take the radius bone here and grind it just superior to the elbow. Drag it, and it'll start to turn the arm by itself. Okay? It'll be a lot tighter inside here. So when those feet come inside, you're okay. So you just walk it right in. I post off the head. This also helps me in case he's trying to punch me or something like that. I know exactly where his other arm's going to be. Roll it out and stack it. Okay. But if you do have an opponent here who does tend to turn his arm or has turned it enough where you can't get it back where you'd like it to be, you're still in good shape here. As I start to put my feet up and push him away, he turns his arm over. There you go. Now, I can't get the straight arm lock. What I can do is keep pushing his head away, take this leg that's underneath that arm, and I fold it up here and kind of pinch it in tight. Switch hands, pull it into my chest, and it'll slide right back into the arm lock again. He works right into it. It's the same shoulder lock we had before. Wrap up inside here, His arm hits the deck. I take it here, push away, fold it up, keep it inside, grab that wrist, slide it along my leg, and there's the shoulder lock. Another fantastic move. Now, before we get too complex, we got to talk about the good old basic arm lock here. This is one you have to get down pat. Start with the opponent's arms on your chest here. He can have his arms straight, but I'll tell you what, in traditional jiu-jitsu, they may teach you this way, but you're going to find in real fighting situations without a gi, and you're swinging and throwing punches, his hands are going to be blocked up, he's going to be in tight, launching on you. He'll be covering up, or he'll be running away completely. All right? So I want to hang on tight here. Now, watch what happens. One hand on the back of his neck, the other hand on the arm I'm going to try to lock here. Right there above the elbow. Now, what I like to do is take the foot on the same side of the arm I'm going to lock, get it into his hip here. Okay? Inside here, get it in, and climb up his back with my other leg. This is all easy. Don't get confused by it. One. Climb up here. Now, what I like to do is push this head and turn my body away, because in this arm lock that I'm going to show you here, I do not want to stay parallel with him. I need to be perpendicular. Our head should not be pointing the same direction. His should be pointing one, mine should be pointing the other way completely. So as I hang on, I'm going to help try to achieve that. This foot's going to help me turn the corner. This leg's going to point the direction my body's going to be. See? Here. Over it goes. And I have a simple arm lock there. Okay, back again. Elbows inside. You guys resistant inside here. Like this. Step over the top. And there's an arm lock. Now, what's going to make this different here is you need to hold them in place while you're turning. It'll look loose and it'll feel loose until you understand a couple of things. One, as I pull here, this leg that goes across his back holds him in. Holds him inside here. This hand is not only going to hold him in, but it's going to push his head away. It's hard for him to pull his arm out when his head's like this. If his head's up, a lot of power. If his head's down to the side, it's more difficult. Inside there. Now, realistically, that's the way you're going to probably end up doing it. Another way to do that thing, if that feels too uncomfortable, it sets him off, try crossing your arms over inside here like this. Instead of inside here, you might try here like this, grabbing the wrist. Another way you can do it. Grab the wrist, either thumb over or underneath. The cross hand that was here goes across the head this way. Here. Again, walk up, and there's your arm lock. Just inside there. Another deal. Same deal. Elbows down, cross it up, hold them in, turn the corner, and the arm lock simple there. Well guys, that does it for tape 2. There are a bunch of arm locks, shoulder locks, and a couple of wrist locks thrown in there for you guys to work on. Once again, pick just 2 or 3 at a time per training session and drill them into your head. And you will find that as you apply these things in your training and a little bit every day, that you'll discover some variations, new setups, and so on. A great deal of jiu-jitsu is learned through practicing with your partner. I want to make sure that I have the basics down for you so that you can train and get these things solid so your finishes are good. Now what we're going to do is give you some time to rewind the tape again. Start from the beginning. Look at these moves, really study them, listen to what I'm telling you. These little details are going to make all the difference in the world later on. Train with your partner, 2 to 3 moves, pick a little bit at a time, 20 or 30 times each side minimum, and train them for a good 2 hours. And I want you guys to get prepared because the next tape we're going to be looking at here pretty shortly is locks from the waist down, all lower body locks, and they're going to be a blast. So I had a great time working with you. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.